Welcome back, everyone. It's intense today. It's really like those 3 5-minute transitions between each people, and I'm like, who's next? But we're right here with Framestore, who's joining us and had their talk already. You're still on tomorrow, you just said.
No, I'm going home tomorrow.
Oh, you're going home tomorrow?
Yes,
okay, thank God. So we're just ending your trip at OFFF.
That's right.
How's it been so far?
Brilliant.
Yeah?
Really good.
Loving it, yeah. I had to open the presentation yesterday, so I've got that out of the way. Now I'm just relaxing and enjoying being here amongst the community.
Nice. Have you met a lot of people at OFFF that you know, or like new people connecting? How's it been?
Both. Been really good.
Yeah?
It's such a great festival because there's so many people here from the industry and kind of everyone's super friendly, and it's just really good to see old friends and then make new friends.
Yeah, totally. We should probably introduce you like more formally. We've had like separate introductions, but also Framestore, so I'll let you take that away and do it separately if you want.
Sure. Should we talk about Framestore a bit and then introduce ourselves?
Sure. Go for it.
All right, so a bit of background to Framestore. Got started about 37 years ago by a group of friends, and that's grown now to a company. Is it around 3,000 people?
Over 3,000, yeah.
Over
That's
3,000 people,
yeah.
right. But and the key to it, I think, is we're a very diverse group. We're like creatives, we're artists, producers, we're technicians as well, and that's, I think, the strength of Framestore is that if the creative technology doesn't exist yet to execute what we want to do, then we build it ourselves, which is amazing.
Yeah.
And we're probably best known for our VFX work, but we're in like TV, episodic. We're doing some great stuff in advertising and immersive sector as well. So that's the company, but the design studio within that. You could tell us a little bit about that, maybe.
Yes. So I'm Stephen Goalby.
Yep.
I'm head of the design team in London. And we run ourselves like a design studio. So it's quite a small team. There's only kind of 7 or 8 of us in London.
Yep.
We've got a kind of presence across America and the US. And I think that what makes us good is that we'll go out and pitch for our own work and win work and be like a traditional kind of motion graphics studio. But what makes us really special is that we're at the heart of this kind of really big industry, big company. So we could be feeding into theme park rides or film or TV or the immersive stuff, and I think that's what really makes it interesting for me anyway. No 2 jobs are the same.
Yep.
It's
and the nice thing about design, it gets to touch all the different departments, right?
Exactly.
So you can find yourself doing stuff for shows or for theme parks. Like you've done some of that stuff, which has been great.
Yeah, we've worked for both Universal Studios, Disney World, kind of theme
There are
park
some
rides
big names today, like
films,
just in this one session.
It's good.
We had like the Oscars like just a few weeks back or last week. It feels like already a long time ago, but we'll be naming a lot of that today in the session. When did you both join then? Like, what's your journey with like Framestore and what you were doing before?
Wow, we're probably not a predictable way in. I think we both had quite an interesting background and not really any formal training you might expect, but I think that's been a bit of a strength for us both.
Yes.
I mean, I started off doing a bit of graphic design, but my career took a left field turn, and I was doing a lot of work in theatre and television, and in between jobs, I was teaching myself, the Adobe suite, and started doing illustrations and Photoshop. I'd start to learn that, and then doing motion graphics through After Effects. But having that background and having that diverse background, I think brings a lot of different disciplines and knowledge into the subject. And so I think it's nice to have a storytelling background. So I think good design solves problems, but it also needs to connect with the audience, right, and tell stories. So I love that side.
We had Rick yesterday, I think, who was like really experimental at the beginning with like Photoshop as well and animation, and he was like, my design was awful, like everything I was producing for 3 years was just awful, and that was part of him experimenting and saying, hey, like that's just what happens when you're self-taught and going through like Adobe and seeing what's out there, and do you feel you had that process?
And that's like myself, so I studied product design at university and actually kind of found motion design as a kind of side, this was kind of 20 years ago, so it's changed a lot since then, but kind of found it as a kind of hobby. Taught it, totally self-taught, got my first job, and both my first 2 jobs were in graphic design studios, so kind of learned a lot of kind of graphic design skills off the back of that, and worked there for kind of 12 years, and then 8 years ago joined Framestore as design director, and now up to head of design. So it wasn't a kind of linear journey, I guess, which is good.
Do you think, how's the scene like in London in general? I mean, I lived there, but it's pretty competitive and intense, like in the creative industry. How did you find it when you started?
I think that's what makes it good and exciting to me. I'd hate it to be kind of easy. I think that's what makes that kind of competitiveness and kind of trying to outdo each other and kind of all that kind of who's got the best next idea.
It's stressful.
Kind of well, yeah, and I'm going to take the other side of that as well and say like
reality check.
Well, no, and it's right. That's how you progress, is that you challenge yourself and you learn from your peers, and maybe a little bit of healthy competition helps and rivalry. But I do want to point out that that looking around and comparing yourself to others is just the wrong thing to do.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I can't speak for other people, but for me, if I could give myself some advice back in the day, it'd be like, don't compare yourself, don't look around, enjoy your own journey, right? And you want to see the people around you, and I think the culture at Framestore is very much like this, is that you see them as your community, as your people.
Yeah.
These are people who get you and are like you, Don't think of them as the competition, which is hard when, it's a business. And,
is that how Framestore approaches recruiting and finding talent too, that you all are this healthy group, hopefully, of folks?
We can't speak for the whole company, but for design, I think that is the key.
Yeah.
That is the key. We want people who fit in with the culture that we've got,
Nice. I think that's the best learning so far we've had on all the sessions, so we're really nailing it on the second day. Shall we share some of the work that you've been working on and what Framestore does?
Should we start with our reel first?
Let's go for it. Yeah. I know you've had a bunch of videos, so...
I think this gives a little overview of the breadth of the work that we do in the design.
So that's it shared.
Design company.
We've got appreciation in the chat. A lot of people are impressed with what you do, so compliments over.
And I think what that reel shows is the diversity of work that we do. And it's, we've not got a house style, and I think we kind of actively try and not do that. So we'll approach each job brief with, what's the best solution to this rather than kind of...
Yeah, absolutely. We're generalists in design, right? Because you want to fit the work to the brief. That's what you don't want to be imposing, as you said, a house style. So we've got to be flexible and open to lots of different techniques. And I think, as you said, that's the key to the breadth of work that we're doing.
Yeah, completely.
Yeah.
Should we go through some more work more specifically? That was a great overview.
Sure.
But what do you have to share today?
Well, I would love us to share the Bond title sequence, if you don't mind.
I think.
Definitely.
Stephen particularly was creative supervisor.
Creative supervisor on this. I joined with another guy called Jules. Which one's full screen? That one. Sorry.
Yep.
So there was two of us creative supervised kind of the project.
Yep.
Working with director Daniel Kleiman. And it was quite kind of different for me. If I mute I'll just turn the audio down to make sure you can hear me as I talk. It was kind of a different project for me to work on because this was using our kind of full CG pipeline. So there's kind of 30 artists across the board kind of working on this. And
insane.
It's how do you kind of make sure that they've all got the same vision, understand what Danny wants and kind of what we want, and kind of how does that all kind of tie together. And the way that was me and Jules kind of initially doing lots of small tests, and I'd personally do them in Cinema 4D and After Effects, and then Jules would work them up and we'd kind of present them back and forth with Daniel until this kind of story started evolving, because what Daniel's real talent is taking kind of a lot of these relatively random ideas and just stitching them together into these kind of lovely dreamlike sequences, which all flow together kind of effortlessly, you know, which kind of, it's a real skill to be able to do that. And I think then using those tests to brief the artists to get that unified look was really important, because it's a lot of people.
Yeah, I can imagine.
It is.
Yeah.
It's nice. I think you gave a roadmap for the other artists to follow, and the nice thing about design is that you can iterate quite quickly, right? And try things out, and if they don't work, that's fine. But you haven't wasted a ton of money and people's resources.
Totally, yeah.
You know? So I think that was a really nice thing that you were able to do. Do you have any favorite moments from
this? What's happening just now?
Yeah.
This kind of transition from the kind of desert into the hourglass into the kind of guns is just a really lovely moment.
How do you put a limit to it in terms of saying, okay, we've pieced together enough, like we've brought all of this together and it makes sense?
It forever changed.
Yeah.
You know, right up to the last minute. You know, it's kind of the order and kind of how it all stitched together, and it really was quite a fluid edit, and it all had to work with the audio. You've got kind of Billie Eilish did a brilliant soundtrack for it, and I think that.
Sorry to interrupt, but this little DNA sequence, I know you were.
I worked up in cinema first, and what's brilliant is you can kind of see our references that we kind of worked with on Danny, and see the final piece, and you can really see where the kind of ideas grew from and kind of evolved from, which was
That's
nice.
what I was going to ask. Like, you talked about the roadmap and sharing that vision with everyone. Like, how does that practically work? And do you sometimes like go back to them and say, hey, like that doesn't fit at all into like what we're creating?
Yeah, absolutely. And you'll have dailies, so you'll kind of sit with the artist dailies, and we've got kind of review suites, and we'll kind of sit with them and go through, and so to really make sure we're all on the same page, because of course there's not just one artist working on each shot. Within each shot you've got modelers, you've got lighters, you've got the kind of comp artists, so that within each shot everyone's got to be on the same page. So it's a lot of people to align.
And I think also when you get these awards, I mean, that's a huge part of like recognition, but there's such a big team behind it that it's amazing to see that it's like a joint like celebration.
And it's brilliant. And what was a good kind of secret about this is that me and Jules had no idea, I don't want to give any spoilers to the film, but we didn't know the ending. So we had no idea until we went to the premiere and saw it. We didn't know. So we were kind of doing all this stuff like Bond breaking apart.
I didn't know they would do this. That's kind of blind
the metaphor
work.
of kind of what it stands for. You know, so it's kind of, it was really interesting to watch it after we'd seen the film.
And do you think that would have helped or not? Like
I think
blind work helped
I think it was better that we didn't know.
Exactly.
I think it was brilliant, and I think it was a real nice thing to then watch it, because Bond was going to be out just before lockdown.
Yeah.
And then lockdown happened, it was going to push 2 years. So we'd worked on it and delivered it, then all went home and worked on other things for 2 years, and then went to the premiere. So it was kind of, I've never had such a break in work anyway before I kind of see it again. But then to learn that twist on it, it was brilliant. It was like watching a whole new sequence, which was really good.
You talked about lockdown. How was that with Framestore and like all of you working together during like COVID pandemic? Even though that feels like a while back already, that wasn't so long ago.
Right.
I think it was. I mean, an incredible effort from Framestore's technical team to set us all up at home, and it actually works really well. I mean, we're still a hybrid company.
Are you okay? Yeah.
I was surprised. You know, I was kind of naive to how well remote working and setups and logging into remote machines would work, but it all works really well. I mean, credit to the kind of guys behind it.
Yeah, as you said, we're very lucky to have a very competent technical team behind us, and for the design side as well, I think it kind of helped us, right? Because I work from London, but I'm for Chicago, and we're all based in different cities, but we've got a collective, I guess, of people that are able to cross over and work together and keep that sense of community while we are all working separately. And I think that is the trick. And moving forward, it may be a hybrid model of people coming in because you need that community, but then also, being able to work remotely as well.
And around what suits you, so,
Say again?
And around what suits the person, it's kind of,
respecting that, I definitely feel that's part of like growing with the company. We've gone hybrid as well, and I think I work a lot with the US, and just being there has also made a difference after COVID. You were like, oh my God, it's such a relief to see people again and be able to sit in a room and like just whiteboard or whatever we do, but nothing as creative. But of course, it's been really helpful.
But that collaboration still need that, I think, especially for junior artists and things like that. It's important to feed off people. So if you can make it into offices and kind of, I know from my experience, that's where I kind of grew, soaking up all these different kind of design techniques from different industries.
And like these kind of events are so important, and if I know people might be at home at the moment, if they have the chance to come down, it's it's great to feel plugged into a bigger community and
we feel that with
each other.
Yeah, I think we feel that with OFF for sure. Last year when we came back, it was like people being almost shy to speak to each other and like touching things and being such a big room with sitting, like watching talks. But I think this year feels like back to normal. Like no one really cares again.
It seems to be finally kind of over.
Yeah,
it's good,
totally. Let's go through more work then. I know you've lined up a bit more too.
So super pumped. This is a title sequence that we did. I'll set this up a bit by saying that I don't know. Do you know much about the rise of Uber, the Uber empire?
No.
Okay, cool. All right, the quick version I think goes like this: a guy called Travis Kalanick, who was the guy spearheading the thing. He was, I guess, a bit of a dictator, and the showrunners were like, look, this is the story of the rise of a dictator, but we don't want it to come across like that. We want you to paint a very positive picture of, a positive picture of a megalomaniac. No, but look at
I'd be going nuts trying to create that.
Yeah, but that's the fun of it as well, right? Because then that's the brief. It's like, well, how are you going to paint that? You know, how can we hint at the toxic work culture that is set up, but make it feel really energetic and uplifting and exciting? So I'll play it quickly. I'll just play it through maybe and talk over it. But we built, it took place in San Francisco, so we see the Golden Gate Bridge here, and we wanted to build the whole city out of these like long exposure streaks. We wanted the whole thing to feel like a journey through the city at night when everything's a bit blurry, right? And you get this kind of beautiful light and shadow play. So that was our theme going through this. We wanted these golden connections to remind us a bit of mobile technology. So it's touchscreen technology and things connecting and the data points, because the whole time that this company's growing, they were doing some illegal things, mining data, and I guess some illegal stuff that they were picked up for. So it's okay to mention that now, but they're much changed and they're in a really good place. And it's the battle for Uber, so we've got this kind of warlike image of these streaks of arcs of light. That was actually taken, and when we were doing our research, the kind of the technology they used, that was the way they used to track people's location. And so that when you looked at the map of them tracking everyone in real time, you had these incredible like rainbow shapes that I guess put us in mind of the trajectory of missiles and things like that. So anyway,
it's lovely work.
Well, thank you very much. We had a great time making it, and a big shout out to my co-partner Chris Friesen, who directed this with me, and who's responsible for that just beautiful the city work and all of the cameras. And yeah, man, he's a special talent, that kid.
Nice, awesome. Want to see more? Keep going.
Sure. What do you want to?
Should we do the Jersey next?
Let's do Jersey. Yeah. How long have we got?
We've got a little bit of time. I'll do a time check. Yeah, we have about 10 minutes.
Yeah, that'd be great.
5 to 10.
So I'll just let this play through because it's quite a fun reel. This is for Miss Marvel, so the TV show.
Yeah.
Again, different. That's what you were saying at the beginning. Like that's just
totally
another direction.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
But I guess you're never bored.
No, exactly.
Right?
Always learning.
Yeah. It's nice seeing the breakdown as well, right?
Totally.
And we're more responsible for the 2D in the design department.
So the design department did all the 2D. I mean, it was directed by a brilliant creative Cuddihy and Splendoff. Yep. So design would do all the kind of 2D work and all the animation, but he also directed the CG. But it was all done through the kind of the same people who did the kind of Bond titles kind of made CG pipeline.
And you just talked about learning too. How do you feel you're actually constantly like being up to date with technology and what's out there? I know Adobe's also working a lot with AI recently, has been talking about this. What's kind of happening this year in the future that you can actually share that you might be excited about, or kind of working with the teams? Yeah. I mean, any sneaks? You can't share anything.
The problem is we can't share a lot.
I will say it's exciting, and it is different again. That's the good thing. Like we always try, it's. Again, we don't want that house style, so it is constantly kind of changing styles and evolving.
So is that an official no comment?
Yeah, official no comment. Just tumbleweed.
Well, I would just say we're excited about the people that we've got, right, and the recruitment and getting the best people to join us and share the vision and want to make cool stuff and push the boundaries. And as a company, we've always been at the forefront of technology. you know, and I mentioned it earlier, but getting the right people in to create the technology, which is always evolving, right? Yep. That's the key other side to all the artistry.
And I think what's brilliant about these particularly is it's using the technology and also a real craft of hand-drawn, back to kind of hand-drawn animation, and it's all animated frame by frame, so it is, you know, very traditional.
Totally.
Yeah, and that's something I'd just like to touch on briefly, which is, you know, as technology improves and as we might need, as we might not need, well, we still need the fundamental basics. You know, we still need to be practicing our drawing, our understanding of lighting in the real world, right? Not just maybe using the kits and the packages. I think it's really important that as artists that we, you know, we put in the daily practices, we do the little speed paints and we do the little tutorials, and you teach yourself and you keep practicing.
I think that's something everyone's mentioned so far in terms of like digital art, which is always experimenting with, analog, or like even an illustrator will be going into like painting and things that were really traditional and like started the experimenting a little bit, and that just feels like it doesn't have a structure. Like when they're experimenting with paint or with like hand like work, it's much more crafty and they can, you know, explore a lot more than they would digitally. So that's been really great.
Keeps you, and I find it's the happy accidents that we want to keep hold of in art. You know, that's what your talk was all
about yesterday.
It was
happy accidents.
Well, a little bit in that, you know, when you can make it do exactly what you want, sometimes, you know, we're missing that that kind of, as I said, the happy accident. You know, the paint spilling and mixing with that one in a way that you wouldn't expect. Those little beautiful analog textures that, you know, we might be losing if you just work digitally. You know, I think it's great to bring that back.
And as you scale and you work with those huge teams, I mean, it's even harder to have those happy accidents, isn't it? Because you do have to have some structure to leading them and like having you know, deadlines and all of that going.
Yeah, and again, that's why I'm like, plant the flag for design as well. I think that's where we're really useful. Yeah. You know, that's where we can try stuff out. Yeah, totally. Doesn't work. It's okay. We go again. Yeah. We iterate. Yeah. Trial and error, and hopefully, you know, by the time we've worked out what the roadmap should be, you know, we've given a journey for everyone to follow.
Nice. I think we have about 2-3 minutes, so we might have time for one more that you want to show. Did you have more? You did.
I think we've got more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
2 minutes. So let's pick one.
Well, if we could, let's show. I don't know if we've got.
Oh, now we have to pick and choose.
I know. Well, I just wanted to say the creative director Sharon Locke did this most beautiful piece that we're quite proud of and would love to share.
Definitely.
I know we don't have much time, so maybe we should do the making of.
The making of.
I think that's about a minute.
Perfect.
2 minutes. Go. And
we'll stop it a bit early.
If you can hear it,
yeah.
I'll let her talk it through because there's some great points she makes here that I'd like her to make.
Wow, so cool.
Yeah,
amazing.
Emotional connection, right, to the audience, and that's the storytelling element.
Yeah.
Yeah, I encourage you to go and check out the actual the actual spot is fantastic.
But the craft of it was just amazing.
That was a real grand slam as well for the awards that year. Yeah, it was kind of
That's
it won
insane.
everything, which was good.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing that, though. I'm glad we made it, and we could also share it on stream.
Yeah,
so
thank you.
Yeah, I really appreciate both of your time.
Thank you.
Enjoy off. If you're flying tomorrow or sometime this weekend,
get
home well, and thanks for joining and sharing with the audience. We'll see you back in 5 minutes with Rufus, who's joining us with David Carson.
Thank you for listening.
Thank
Cheers,
you.
guys.